So happy Epiphany, everyone.
Happy Epiphany! Woo-hoo!
I know we are technically a day early, but I think we celebrate anyway, because this is a special day for us. We mark the start of a new calendar year. We celebrate our feast day. We accept, as Paul calls it in his letter to the Ephesians, a commission of God's grace. And we close out the season of Christmas so that we might enter a time of Jesus' ministry and life here on earth with us. Yes, you did hear that. It's the last day of Christmas, last day to blast your Christmas carols. Just saying. Your choice. Epiphany. In churchy terms, Epiphany means the manifestation of the divine. That means the coming to being of what is holy, of God incarnate. In English class or in science class particularly, an epiphany might be to discover something. Or perhaps it is the aha moment, that moment of sudden revelation when suddenly you're like, wait a second, I think that this character is supposed to be modeled after a Christ figure, so I bet I know what happens next, if you're in English class, for example. We have an epiphany that we celebrate today, one that we heard where the wise men came and they gave their gifts, and now here we are. The wise men came, they found a baby in the manger, and the baby that they knew to be King of the Jews. They knew it was King of the Jews. Remember in that second line of that gospel lesson, they weren't like, hey, we're here to see the king, because Herod would have been like, yep, that's me. No, we're here to see King of the Jews, which freaked Herod out a lot. They looked into that manger, and when they did so, they experienced an epiphany. They experienced the manifestation of God. They knew what it meant to see baby Jesus, and so they offered gifts, precious gifts, and then went home a secret way so as not to lead King Herod and danger straight to the baby. They knew the magnitude of what they were witnessing and took caution, offered praises, and marveled at the moment. This was a very big deal. They had been waiting for hundreds of years, thousands of years, for God to appear, and finally, he shows up. It's a big deal. Jesus was born 2 weeks ago, and we are invited now to have this same moment. We are invited to experience the wonder of the birth of Jesus. We're encouraged to participate in God's story, just as the three wise men did, by making ourselves open to an epiphany of our own. That, in some ways, is easier said than done. So let's talk a little bit about what we need for an epiphany to happen. Oh, there it is. I think that there are a couple of things. First of all, you need to be willing to accept the responsibility. If we think back over the stories that we've been hearing, that got us to this point of an epiphany, there are a lot of folks who had to accept responsibility for what was happening. Elizabeth said yes. Mary, when the angel came to her and said, yes, I will do that. They heard God's plan and the request for them to bear sons, and indeed they did. They accepted that power and responsibility. You need to have a little faith to see an epiphany in God. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be a mustard-sized seed of faith, but it has to have some. Think about the shepherds that were watching their flocks by night when the angels arrived. Now, changing direction from where they were going could have been very costly. Also, they could have just been freaked out and run away. But they had faith, and they followed the angel's directive, and they followed the stars. So, responsibility and faith. We need to learn, too. We need to have some knowledge. You know, those wise people were not wise just because of innate intelligence, those wise men. They might have, but there's other stuff, too. They studied. They were thought to be a special kind of a Persian priest, a Zoroastrian. They worshiped God and knowledge. They studied the stars, and they knew something was different about that star that was shining that they followed. That wasn't normally there like that. They could pick it out. So we need to be willing to accept the responsibility. We need to have a little faith. We need to know about God and what's around us in order to be able to see when something different has happened, when something amazing is happening, when you have that opportunity for an aha moment. Now, I find, though, even with all of that, sometimes I need a little push or a little extra direction. One of the things that I talk about sometimes with my clergy coach is that I have trouble sometimes triaging, because there are 100 things on my to-do list, and which one do I focus on? And I feel like the world can be kind of like that in general. All of these things, how do we know where to focus in order to find God and to have these moments of epiphany? I'm told here that there's always a surprise or a reveal or something that happens on Epiphany Sunday. One year it was the painting of the choir loft that you can see behind you either now or when you come up for communion. Check out the stars back there. One year it was a live camel. Last year, I think it was me, I showed up. Thank you. Didn't expect that. This year, I want to try something new, and I dropped mine, so hold on. When you came in, you received a star, did you not? If you missed the star, you can get one on your way out the door, okay? So don't worry. This year, we're going to try something called Star Words. Now, as I said, I need a little direction. I can just be all over the place. So for me, it's important to have a place to focus. Whatever word you picked out, that's your star word. And we'll get back to that in a second. Mine is gratitude. This word that you have, this word that you will get if you don't already have it, is a start. It's your guide for the year. This is your star across the sky that leads you to whatever that epiphany, that manifestation is. You see, with all that happens around us, around me each day, having this place to focus allows me to experience people and events in the world in certain ways. And so I encourage people to take time to focus on this specific word. Maybe you got believe or love or gratitude. There were like 20 of them. So lots of different things for people. If we try, I think that we can experience unexpected epiphany ourselves. You need to find a way to make this work for you. Perhaps you want to run every big decision or idea through this word. Does this help me experience and recognize gratitude? Will I be grateful if I do that? Will somebody else? How? Perhaps you prefer to use it as a mantra, something that you repeat over and over. Maybe it's something that will guide you as a meditation each morning or each evening. Now, if you got a word that you love, that's great. If you got a word that you don't, well, sometimes that's what life throws you, but also it's okay. Maybe give it a try, and if it's not the right word, then think of which one is your word for the year. Your word to focus you, to help you go through the year. And notice how you have writing on one side and not the other. If you need a second word, you can just use the back. That's right. Take it home. Put it somewhere that you're going to see it regularly. And pray or meditate or say it or whatever works for you throughout the year. Then when we come back to this space in a year, and hopefully many times in between, we can reflect on what we heard, what we learned, where and when we had that aha moment. The celebration of Epiphany is a special day, not just because it's our church name, but because it's the day when we are invited to truly see the mystery of God and the mystery and joy that God gives us in this birth of a baby that we celebrated just a short bit ago. It's an opportunity for us to recognize the ways that God is with us in this world, guiding us and helping us through times that are good and times that are bad. It's a way for us to set forth our beliefs and apply them to our lives and see what happens. An epiphany is, as I said, that aha moment. Those of you that have taught before, you know how cool it is when somebody finally gets it and you see their eyes light up, or even if they're trying to be super cool about it, they're like, yeah, I get it, But you still know it's exciting. You know when you have those moments, something you've been trying to figure out for many a time, and then finally do. God invites us into those kinds of relationships and moments all the time. All that we need to do is to be willing and ready, to accept the responsibility when it comes, to have a little bit of faith, to learn about ourselves and the world around us, and to find a way to focus who we are as God's children. Amen.
Amen.